joined the Chicago branch of the Ramakrishna Order of India as a monk in 1969, was initiated by the 10th president of the Ramakrishna Order, Swami Vireshwarananda, and subsequently spent many years in India engaged in monastic, scholarly, and spiritual training. He has been engaged in various pioneering works, including the founding of centers in San Diego, the Vivekananda Retreat at Ridgely Manor in upstate New York, and the Vedanta work in Puerto Rico. For many years, he has traveled to various countries of the world to speak, to give retreats both in English and in Spanish, to engage in interspiritual dialogue, and to participate in conferences dedicated to finding a new spiritual foundation for economic and social development. In 2012, he was called to the headquarters of the Ramakrishna Order near Kolkata, India, to work on a new edition of the complete works of Swami Vivekananda in 10 volumes. At the end of 2017, after completing his editorial work, he was posted as the resident minister to the Vedanta Society of Greater Houston in the USA. Deepak, are you saying something? Most recently, on 11th April 2022, he arrived at the Sant Vedantic Ramakrishna to become its president and spiritual director. So we have here, and nowadays, let me add a little bit, he gives talks over there in French. So, Swami Atmarupananda Ji Maharaj.
Broken French. Om yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedangscha prahinoti tasmai tam hadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshur vai sharanamaham prapadye. We who seek liberation take refuge in that infinite light which illuminates the hearts of all, which is the source of the Creator himself and the source of infinite wisdom known as Veda. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Om Peace, Peace, Peace. So I'm very glad to see all of you. Some of you who were here last night and some who I didn't see last night, but so many familiar faces, very much loved faces, and faces which bring me great joy to see you all here. It's a great a joy to see you, to be with you. And as I said last night, coming here is coming home. I may be away from home, posted away from home, but Houston will always be home. This was a wonderful place for me to be, not because the city Houston is better than other cities, although Houstonians may think so, but because of the people, because of you, the people who came to the center, because of the center. Because of the wonderful life I had here, the joy I had in being with you and working with you, it was a privilege to be here among you. As I said last night, when I came here, I decided that this is my final resting place. I will not leave Houston. And that was my determination until I got that fateful call from Bellermut saying, we need you to be in France within 7 to 10 days. And so now I'm determined that France will be my final resting place. But that doesn't mean that this isn't still home. This is home. It feels like home. As soon as I got to the Houston airport, everything was so familiar. Hobby Airport, I'd flown in and out of it so many times. And then seeing the familiar faces who came to meet me and to bring me here, and then coming to the center, which I know every inch of the center and love every inch of the center and all of the people associated with the center. It's something wonderful that has been created here, that you have created. It's you, your dedication, your sacrifice that has built this center. It wouldn't be here but for you. And so I'll say a few more words about that as I go. But last night was announced as satsang, which it was. It was very informal. Tonight is announced that it was announced that I would give a talk. And so I will give a talk, but it will be informal also, because I'm here among old friends. And that's why I didn't, as last night also, I didn't want a table between me and you, protected by a table separating me from you. I want to be sitting among you. And so sitting up here has the advantage of I can see all of you back to the back row, which I couldn't if I were sitting down there. But that's the only reason for sitting up here, is not to put myself above and not to separate myself, but to be able to see the faces which I love so much and am so happy to see again. So what I thought I would talk about tonight is a topic which I have a few notes to keep me going in the proper line. And these notes must be from at least 30, 35 years ago. A talk I gave 30, 35 years ago. Things to remember is the topic, things to remember. And since they were things to be remembered at that time, they're still things to be remembered. So I'll talk about that. But from time to time, I will associate what I'm talking with the center here and the life of the center. Because this center, which is so dear to so many of us, we want it to grow, we want it to develop, we want it to be vital once more. And so I will turn from time to time from the topic to how the topic relates to the center. So the first thing and most important thing always to remember, again, there are several points I want to make, things that we should always remember. The first thing to always remember, that is, God is. God exists. Never forget that. God exists. God is. God is real. You can't read Sri Ramakrishna without coming away deeply convinced that, yes, God is. That was the central message of Sri Ramakrishna's life. Some have said the central message of Sri Ramakrishna's life was the harmony of religions. And yes, he lived the harmony of religions. He was the harmony of religions. He embodied the harmony of religions. So that was certainly true. And the Holy Mother said that Sri Ramakrishna's central central principle of his life was renunciation. Not the renunciation of a monk, but the renunciation that all of us have to practice. Renunciation is a fundamental principle of life that everyone is already living. It's just that in spiritual life, we try to practice it consciously. I'll try to come back to that point. But what I want to say as the first point is that to me, the central fact of Sri Ramakrishna's life, the central fact that he represented in every moment of his life, was the fact that God is. God is real. God isn't an imagination. God isn't a tool used by priests to make people afraid and to hold power over them. That became a popular theory by those like Karl Marx and others, that religion was purely, as he put it, the opium of the people, or it was a tool to keep people under the power of others, under the power of religious hierarchs and priests. No, forget about all of that. The fact is that God exists, God is real, and we can begin to feel that. Even reading Sri Ramakrishna's life and his teachings in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we begin to feel that, yes, God is. if we can make that the central fact of our life, even though we may not have seen God, have not experienced God, but if we can develop that conviction. I don't like to use often the word faith because it's been so abused by people, but that deep conviction that yes, God is. Not because somebody tells you, not because somebody like me tells you that God is, but because we've thought about it and we have become convinced, personally convinced, that yes, God is. When I was a kid going to church, I would often hear people say, and they were saying it jokingly, but it is true for many people. They would say, "I believe in God as an insurance policy. If God doesn't exist and I die, then nothing is lost. If God does exist, I want to say that I believed in God so that I go to the right place." So I'm not saying that at all. That is not the reason to have a deep conviction in the existence of God. Swami Vivekananda said, uh, if God is, what else could matter? If God is not, what could possibly matter? That's true. If God is, what else could matter? If God exists, if at the heart of this universe and in my own heart, there is this all-loving, all-wise reality who is infinitely real, who is immortal, and in whom I find my own immortality, that I am immortal in God. I am immortal and I am infinite in God's infinity. I am all conscious in God's consciousness. I'm all joyful in the infinite ocean of joy which is God. If that is true, what else matters? Nothing else matters. All of our little problems that we make such a big deal out of, all of our problems are really small problems. Yes, when we look at the world through modern means of communication, modern media and so forth, all of the problems of the world are brought to our doorstep. And there's the war in Ukraine, very much present to us in France because it's not next door, but much closer than it is here to America. Ukraine is very much a part of the consciousness of Europe. We look at the war in Ukraine. We look at starving people in Gaza. We look at the horrors that happened in Israel. We look at the horrors that are happening now to the people in Gaza, and all of the other horrors in the world. Then we say, well, Swami, how can you say that the problems of life are small if we know that God is? No, everything comes into a different perspective if we know that God is. The problem today is, again, that all problems are brought to our door, but all problems are actually problems to a particular individual. The problem with modern communication is that we see things in mass, and we think that as a mass, it's incomprehensible, the horrors of human life and human behavior. But remember, if 1,000 people are killed by some disaster, that was death to an individual. It's not the number 1,000 that makes it terrible. It's the fact that 1,000 individuals faced death. It's a false sense of tragedy that the modern media creates, where we see everything collectively. There is no collective misery. Misery is for an individual, and each of us has to face it the best that we can. But if God is real, that's the only thing that matters. Yes, if I see someone suffering, let me help them, because that also is God. The person suffering is God, and they don't know that they're God, and therefore they suffer. Let me help them. But if I know that God is, everything becomes relative to that. That's the central fact of existence. The central fact of existence. We're not called upon to take on the suffering of everyone in the universe on ourselves. Each of us has our own life, our own experience, our own world of experience. And yes, that which is in front of me, let me help with that. Those who are in front of me, let me help them. But we don't have to take on all of the sufferings of all of the people in the world, because again, suffering is always individual. Suffering is always individual. And each of us has the power to face the difficulties that we face in life. As you see, even in a tragic situation like Ukraine, the people are facing it individually. Everyone, and it calls out the heroism of many people. It calls out self-sacrifice of many people. So don't be overwhelmed by the sufferings of the whole world. Just look at your own experience, your own world of experience. And if God is real, everything else is doable. We can endure everything. We can suffer everything if God is. And as Swamiji says, if God exists, what else could matter? If God doesn't exist, what could possibly matter? Nothing else matters. If God doesn't exist, then life itself has no meaning. If God doesn't exist, when we die and it's all over. All of our joys and our sorrows had no meaning. All of our laughter, all of our tears, all of our sacrifices, it was for nothing. We die and everything's gone. Everything is erased. So nothing has any meaning. It's the reality of God and our own being, which is in the being of God. We each have our being embraced within the infinite ocean of God's love. That's where we all exist. If that is true, then everything has meaning. My joys, my sorrows, my sacrifices, my mistakes, my errors, all of that take on meaning. Meaning in the sense that through everything I'm learning and I'm coming closer to God. When we have a situation, as happened in this center recently, as I said last night, something which is not explainable, not excusable. There's nothing that can be said about it to make it good. It wasn't good. It was a terrible thing that happened. But do we allow that to destroy us? Do we allow that to ruin our lives? Do we decide that, well, that shouldn't have happened, and so I'm going to be angry for the rest of my life? No, we all have choices. We all have choices. We can go forward or we can remain stuck. Why would we want to remain stuck? Why would we want to remain stuck? No. As I said last night, if we stumble and we fall down, do we lie there on the ground and say, oh, I fell down. Why did I fall down? Why did God make me fall down? My life is ruined. I'm on the ground now. What am I going to do? No, we stand up. We stand up. We get up. That's all we have to do with however big the problem in life is. As I said last night, even if for whatever reason I end up in prison, the hero says, okay, now I'm here. Now what do I do? Now how do I go forward? Now what can I make of this situation? What can I make of this situation? How can I make it better? How can I go forward? How can I continue my spiritual evolution even in this terrible circumstance? So always remember that you have a choice in your reactions to things. You always have a choice in your reactions to things. It does no good to blame people. It does no good to remain angry. Yes, certainly things happen in life that we wish they hadn't happened, things that are tragic, things that are extremely unfortunate, things that leave a mark on us. But nothing can leave a mark on us that is forever destructive unless we allow it to. Nothing, nothing. If God is, nothing else matters. If God is, nothing else matters. Why would we allow, if God is, why would we allow something to stand between me and God? There's no good reason for that, no good answer for it. When I was here, I used to quote this saying of a desert father, the early fathers of Christianity, some wonderful sayings, the wisdom of the desert fathers of the beginnings of Christianity. These men, and there were women also, who went into the desert of Egypt to live in caves and to spend their life in prayer and meditation and so forth, self-sacrifice. And some of them spent their life in service also, though living as hermits in a cave. So the sayings of these desert fathers have been collected, and the various books of collections of their sayings. So one young man came into the desert seeking wisdom. And so he came to a desert father living in a cave and said, Holy Father, what is your practice? What is your spiritual practice? And the desert fathers, they were all people of a few words. They didn't give lectures like me. They would say a few words. And so, Holy Father, what is your practice? And he said, I fall down, I get up. I fall down, I get up. I fall down, I get up. That's all he said. But that's all he needed to say. We fall down, all we have to do is to get up. All we have to do is to get up. And to remember that my destiny is in my hands. Somebody else can't take that away from me. I shouldn't give another person the power to take that away from me. They can't take it. Nobody can take that from me. Even if I'm put in prison, even if terrible things happen to me, my duty is to say, whatever happened, whatever strange karma it is that has come from the past, which has brought these circumstances to me, my duty now is to go forward. My duty is to pick myself up, to get up and keep walking forward. If I trip again, then I'll get up again. If I trip a third time, I'll get up again. If somebody trips me, I'll get up. If somebody trips me, why should I allow them to make me lie on the ground? I don't have to. I have a choice. I can get up. And so the first point is God is. And if God is, nothing else really matters. God is always there. I point to Sri Ramakrishna, to the Holy Mother, to Swami Vivekananda, because they embody God for us. And they're living here in the center. They're living here. As I said last night, don't think that, well, why didn't Sri Ramakrishna stop the things from happening the way they happened? Why did he allow certain things to happen? We don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I don't pretend to have an answer for that. But I do know that Sri Ramakrishna is alive and awake here, and he's working. Let me quote, or let me refer to an anecdote as I did last night, the same anecdote from the life of Holy Mother. There was a monk, a Swami, who had fallen in love with a teacher in the Nivedita girls' school, and he left his sannyasa and ran away with this woman and got married. Not that there's anything wrong with marriage, but he was a Swami. He'd taken lifelong vows to be a Swami, and he left his vows and became married. Someone asked Holy Mother, Mother, how can that happen? This Swami, a young Swami, he was the brother of Swami Trigunatitananda, the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, the brother of a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and he was a sevak, that is, an attendant of the Holy Mother herself. He lived with the Holy Mother very closely. He's in pictures with the Holy Mother. And afterwards, as a married man, he wrote the most beautiful book on the life of Holy Mother, Asutosh Mitra. A wonderful book, my favorite book on the life of Holy Mother. But somebody asked Mother, how could this happen? Someone who is your sevak, someone who is the brother of a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, how could he go astray? And Mother said, who knows what Sri Ramakrishna is accomplishing through different people. But she knew that everything that happens through through our karma, but through that, Sri Ramakrishna is working out his purposes through different people. And so I don't claim to understand it. I don't need to understand it. I know that Sri Ramakrishna is. I know that he is here, that he's alive, that he is conscious, and that through the difficulties and all of the ups and downs, we are working out our karma. Individually, we're working out our karma. Collectively, we're working out our karma. And so, again, we have a choice between abandoning the idea of God because something bad happens that shouldn't have happened, or saying, I don't understand it, but I don't have to understand it. What I need to know is that God is, and God always is. And that connection to God is never breakable except when I break it. Even then, the connection is not broken, but my conscious connection is broken. I break by forgetting that connection. I break it. But the connection is always there. Meister Eckhart, the great German Christian saint who was a real Vedantin, he was a real Advaita Vedantin. Books have been written about his, comparing him to Shankaracharya, a great Christian Vedantist of the 14th century, when, of course, no one in Europe knew anything about Vedanta. But he was, in truth, a great Vedantin. He said that if you find that you have lost your connection to God, then just go back to the connection. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Just go back to the connection. Nobody can break that except for you. And as I said, even then, the connection's not broken. It's just that you have deliberately decided, I'm not going to think of that anymore. All we have to do is to go back to it. And remember, we always have a choice. So God is. Second thing to always remember is something that follows from that, and that was exemplified in Sri Ramakrishna's life and teachings, that the purpose of life is God. The purpose of life is to find God. Whether you call God the Self, the Brahman, the Atman, or God the Beloved, it doesn't matter. We're speaking of the same reality that manifests in these different ways, as the impersonal, as the personal, as the inner self, as the self of the universe, as God the Beloved. It's all the same reality in different ways of approaching the same reality. The purpose of life is to attain to that. If we remember that, most of our problems in life are solved. I don't mean that we don't have to face problems, yes, but now we can face them with a new spirit, because I know the purpose of life is not problem solving, but problems are the nature of the world. And so I solve them but I'm going towards that. I'm going towards that, where by that I'm using figurative language to mean God or God realization or self-realization, however you think of it. I'm going towards that. And between me and that, these problems come along, and so I take care of them as they come. Because I have to. They're in front of me. A problem is presented, so I take care of it. But the problem is not why I'm here. The problem is not a big deal. The problem is there, something that I have to get through so I can get there. And if I know that that's where I'm going, then all of the problems become small. They become little. I can take care of them. I can handle them. Again, we have a choice. We have a choice of making a big deal out of a problem, or of accepting that, yes, this was terribly unfortunate, but I'm still going there. That's where I'm going. This is not where I'm going. I'm not going to get stuck here. Why am I going to allow myself to be stuck here? I'm going there. That's what I want. By being stuck here, I've made a choice to be miserable. That's my choice. I've decided to be miserable. I've decided to be eternally angry. I've decided to be eternally upset. No, I'm going there. I'm not going to bother with these things. Nothing matters but the realization of God. The two ways of thinking about this. I said, nothing matters but the realization of God. But actually, if my purpose in life is the realization of God, everything matters because of that. That is, everything in life takes on a different value because of that. Sri Ramakrishna used to say in a beautiful example, and it doesn't take higher math to understand his example, a mathematical example, but it doesn't take higher math to understand it. He said that you can have a long string of zeros, and it's worth zero. A long string of zeros is still zero. But put one in front of that long line of zeros, and you have a huge quantity. And so if you put God in front of everything in life takes on its proper importance. Not more than that, but it takes on its proper importance. My family is important because that's part of my spiritual life. My civic duties are important because I have to take care of them because of my spiritual life. Friends are important because that's part of my spiritual life, the way that I treat people. My work is important because it's through work that I work out my karma, I work on myself, I learn how to handle my reactions, my actions and reactions, I learn how to handle my emotions, all because I'm going there. So everything takes on its importance because of that, because of the one in front of the zeros. All of the zeros take on importance. Without that, we may not know it, but if God doesn't exist, as I said before, and if the God is not realizable, if we can't experience God, then nothing in life matters. It's all a zero. It's all a zero. We may convince ourselves that, oh, I love this and I love that and I love that. But if we don't have a spiritual perspective, a time comes when we realize, I have nothing. I have a huge bank account. I've got a big, beautiful house. I've got 3 Teslas in my garage. And I've got a big family. But I have nothing. I have nothing. But if I have God, everything has value. Everything has value, but because of its connection to God. So God is, and the purpose of life is to attain to God. The great quest in life is to know who I am and who God is. So depending on the path that you follow, whether it's the path of the impersonal, of the path of knowledge, or the path of devotion, or the path of meditation, or the path of work, or a combination of all of the 4 yogas, that will determine how you think of yourself and how you think of God. Whether you think of God as the infinite self, Brahman, the impersonal reality, who I am, Tattvamasi, thou art that, or whether I think that I'm the wave and the Divine Mother is the ocean. I'm made of the same water as the Divine Mother, but she's the ocean and I'm the wave who rests on her bosom. I rest in the ocean of the Divine Mother, made of the same stuff as the Mother. But the ocean belongs to her and the wave belongs to her. And so I, as the wave, I belong to her, the Divine Mother. So whatever our attitude is, knowing who I am and who God is for me, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to know in life. The other things that I need to learn in life are just to be able to get through life, to manage life. But the main thing is who I am and who God is. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Ma achen arami achi. I am and Mother is. And he would say, that's all I need to know. I am and Mother is. I don't know anything else. How blessed that would be if we were that simple. God is and I am. That's all I need to know. God is all of this. God is appearing as all of this. There's nothing but God. And I exist in the midst of God. My being is part of the very being of God. That's all I need to know. All of the other things, again, are just to make my way along the path. So God is, and the purpose of life is to realize God. Another thing always to remember is that there's no substitute in life for character. There's no substitute in life for character. Today I went with a couple of you to see Kewal Chawla, a long-time devotee of our center that most of you know, not all of you, I'm sure, because he hasn't been able to come for some time. He's very ill. Wonderful man, such a devoted soul who has served this center for so many years. He was a treasurer for so many years. I always believed, and I said to some people, that they're not just 2 people, but 2 people that I think of in particular. Kewal Chawla and Suren Rastogi. Those are 2 people that I would trust my life with. I would trust my life. I would never have a hesitation in the world in trusting my life to them because they have character. And again, it's not that they're the only 2 here, but those are the 2 that I was close to and that I always thought that if I needed to trust my life, give my life to somebody, that you take care of it, that those two I could count on without a second thought, without a second thought, because character matters. Character is all that we have, we as individuals. Character is all that we have. We are what our character is. And so that we should do everything in life with a view to what is the effect of this on my character? Who am I becoming by doing this? Who am I becoming by reacting in this way to situations? That's extremely important. If I have that in view, I'll always know how to act. I may forget it. I make mistakes. That's life. Don't worry if you make mistakes. Old people like me, and there are plenty of other old people here, not all, but plenty of us old people here, old people tend to start thinking about, why did I do that? When I was 20 years old, I did such a stupid thing. When I was 15 years old, I said something stupid in class. Why did I do it? When I was 15 years old, I'm 74 now, and I'm still thinking about why I said some stupid thing when I was 15 years old. Nobody else remembers it, but we go on thinking about it. Or what I did yesterday. Oh, why did I do that stupid thing yesterday? No, forget it. That's being human. Being human means we make mistakes. We say stupid things sometimes. We do stupid things sometimes. That's part of being human. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, I thank God for the successes I've had in life, but I thank God 1,000 times for the mistakes that I have done in life. Yes, learn to, if regrets come for something, learn to thank your regrets. It's through you that I have learned. Through you, the foolish things that I did, through you I have learned better. You have been great teachers. You, the mistakes that I have made in life. You, the stupid things that I've done in life. You are blessings in my life. Learn to bless your mistakes and be grateful for them, because it's through that that you grow. And so remember that character is important, but don't make it so important that you blow mistakes way out of proportion. No, we make mistakes. Learn from them and go on. Swami Vivekananda, one of the many things I love everything about Swami Vivekananda. He's been my hero for 55 years since I first began to read his life. But one of the things I love about him are his radical statements. And so when he was in California, he said, spit if you must, but don't repent. Spit if you must, but don't repent. That means, he didn't mean that don't learn from your mistakes and don't recognize mistakes. Yes, if you make a mistake, recognize it and learn from it. But don't go on and say, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Oh, if I had not done such a stupid thing. No, I did it. It's over. That's past. Bless it. Spit if you must, he said, but don't repent. Don't spend your life repenting the things that you did or the things that you could have done but didn't do. No. Don't waste precious mental energy doing that. Because what are you doing when we go on repenting and regretting? What we're doing is we're driving it deeper and deeper into the mind. We're thinking about it, and it goes on making a deeper and deeper groove in the mind. No, be done with it. Be done with it. That's why Swamiji said, spit if you must. Spit it out. Be done with it. But going forward, remember that the only thing that you have is character. The only thing that you have in life is character. That's who you are. That's who you are. And so everything that you do, try to do it with a view to, who am I becoming by doing this in this way? Who am I becoming by reacting to situations in the way that I react? If I react to a situation in a certain way, see, is that making me a better person? Or is that making me a worse person? If it's making me a worse person, I may feel justified. I may feel self-righteous. I may feel that, yes, I have every right to be indignant. I have every right to be angry. I have every right to be self-righteous about this. And I'm going to be. Okay, good. But know what you're doing to yourself. Know what you're doing to yourself. You're doing it to yourself. Somebody else may do something terrible. But am I going to allow that to make me terrible, to make me miserable, to make me eternally angry. Why? Why should I allow that? Don't allow it. We're better than that. We, I don't mean just we here. All of us here certainly are much better than that. But every human being is better than that, because within everyone is the divine spark. And not a divine spark. It's not like there's a little tiny spark that's about to go out inside of everybody. No, there's the divine fire in the heart of everyone. The divine being is in the heart of each one of us. We're better than that. We don't have to be slaves of the external circumstances. I can decide that, no, I'm not going to react that way. I'm going to be better. So there's no substitute for character. Sister Nivedita used to say, or she said once in one of her books, she said, if we spent as much time trying to be what we want others to think that we are, then we would become great. If instead of thinking, how can I make others think that I'm great, if I actually tried to be great, then I would become great. So let me try to be great. Let me not worry about whether other people recognize my posing as great. No, let me be great. That's all I have to do, because I can become such if I try. It's not about posing. It's not about looking in the mirror to see if I can put on the right expression on my face to make people think that I'm very dignified or whatever. There used to be, I don't know if it even still exists, but when I was little, they still existed, the finishing schools. I don't know if finishing schools still exist, but that was where especially young women would go to learn how to be proper society ladies, how to hold the hands, how to hold a teacup, how to pick up the silverware when eating, how to walk carrying a book on your head and walking with balance and dignity, and so forth. No, that's not character, that's posing. Be natural, but be your natural good self. I came up in the hippie days. I belong to the 60s generation, graduated from the 60s university, the University of Hippiedom. And at that time, one of the sayings among hippies was, be natural. But the idea then of being natural was that everybody's a slob, everybody is undignified and so forth, and so just be your natural self. That is, be your animal self. No, be your divine self. Be your divine self, because that's who we are, and we can all be that. So again, be our best. Swami Vivekananda said, according to Sister Nivedita, I've never found it in his works, though it's implied in things that he said, but Sister Nivedita, well, let me start over and go a little deeper, a little further back. Swami Vivekananda, one of the things he did was that he took the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and he presented them to the world in the form of universal principles. He took the teachings of Ramakrishna clothed in parables and so many things, stories and so forth. He took those teachings and presented the universal principles underlying Sri Ramakrishna's teachings. And Sister Nivedita did the same for Swamiji. Swamiji taught principles, but Sister Nivedita found the principles underlying the principles of Swami Vivekananda. And so she said in one of her books that according to Swami Vivekananda, character is spirituality. Again, I've never seen that in those words in Swami Vivekananda, but certainly that was what comes through his teachings. Character is spirituality. People want visions, people want to go into ecstasy, they want samadhi and so many things. Don't worry about those things. If you need them, they will come. Not everybody on the spiritual path gets such things. Some people are prone to visions and things like that. There are even people, I have known people, and known people well, who were not spiritual, but who had all kinds of visions. They would tell me regularly about visions that they had had, all kinds of experiences, and the person didn't have much substance, but they were just sort of visionary by nature. And such experiences have very little value. The value of a vision or anything else is the imprint it makes on your character. So instead of worrying about visions and things like that. Worry about your character, because character is who you are, and character is spirituality. If you have a deeply developed character, if you have built your life on certain deep moral convictions and principles, then you will be spiritual. It may take time, because spirituality takes time for all of us, but you will be spiritual, and you will get the results of spiritual life by focusing on character. And character comes how? From thought and action. And action includes reaction, the way we react to things. Character is built on thought and action. Even action is built on thought, so thought comes primary. So guard your thoughts. Guard the things that you allow your mind to mull over all of the time. Guard your thoughts. If you want to be spiritual, start thinking spiritual thoughts. Start pushing them into the mind. Read spiritual books. Attend spiritual meetings. Learn to think about spiritual things, about spiritual truths, and you'll become spiritual. And your actions will become spiritual, because action comes out of thought. There's an old English saying, which many of you have heard. These were the sort of sayings which were quite current in India when I first went to India in the 1970s, 1971, and again in 75 for a number of years. Things that were current in there, which growing up in an English-speaking country, I had not heard here, but I learned these wonderful English sayings in India. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. So it all starts from thought. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. And sow a character, and you attain to God. So remember the value of, let us all remember the value of a character and how it comes from thought. It starts with thought, the power of thought. So be careful what you think and how you allow your mind to dwell on things. If it's something which is bringing you misery, if it's something that's just making you angry, then take your mind out of it. It's not worth it. You may think that, well, no, we need to solve the problems of the world. No, the world is a problem. The world is a problem. You're not going to solve the problems of the world. No, people for thousands of years have been trying to solve the problems of the world. And actually, the worst tyrants in history have been those who thought that they had the solution to the world's problems. The Hitlers, the Stalins, the Pol Pots all had a solution to the world's problems and began to enforce it on their populations, killing masses of people because they had the solution. No, the world is a problem. That's one of the central teachings of Vedanta. That doesn't mean that we don't have to solve the problems in front of us, that we don't have to deal with them. Yes, we do. We do. That's life. That's what life is confronting the problems that come to us, realizing that the things that come to us are part of our karma. There's a reason why an experience comes to me. Everyone lives in a personal universe, the universe of your experience. The things that you experience in your life are meant for you. We all experience different things, one from another. That's because it's a strange law in the spiritual economy of the universe, that each of us sees a universe that's custom made for me. Custom made for me. The experience is good and bad, and terrible, and wonderful. They all come to me for a reason. And what I have to do is to try to confront them in a creative way that leads me forward. Doesn't get me stuck in the experiences, but leads me forward. So another thing to remember is that it's what we do every day that matters most. It's what we do every day that matters most. Sometimes we may go to a seminar, we may go on a retreat somewhere, we may go on pilgrimage. All of that is good. We build up good memories and we have good experiences, we get inspiration. But it's what we do in our daily life that matters most, because our daily life is daily. It happens every day. And that's where we're forming the habits, the character, the habits of thought, the habits of action, the habits of reaction to things that matter in life. So pay attention to your daily life. That's where your life is made. That's where your character is built in daily life. The special things you do, those are good, but they are not the things that make you into who you are. We go on vacation and have a great time, and we come back and we're still got to face the same problems. So yes, it's our daily life that's most important. The importance of understanding karma, not karma as punishment. Karma is not just reward and punishment. That's there, but that's less important. Karma is the instrument by which we grow. Karma is the instrument by which we evolve. Karma is the instrument by which we learn. Karma is the instrument by which we evolve in a spiritual life. According to Vedanta, every being, from the worm, from the insect, from the bacteria, everything is evolving towards the divine, because every conscious entity, which means every form of life, including plants, is a manifestation of that divine consciousness and trying to get back to its source. We're all moving towards that. And so the experiences we go through, they are the result of our past karma, but the purpose of karma is not reward and punishment, it's to learn by the results of our actions, to learn by having to face the conditions of life which we ourselves have created by our past karma, learning to face them. If you think that, well, my life is miserable, well, what we have to do if we are true Vedantic heroes, as we should be, if we're true children of Vivekananda, is to face our circumstances with heroically. How can I face the circumstances of my life in a creative way so that I learn from what's happening to me? Let me learn from what's happening to me. Let me not just be a karma drudge, as it's called in English. That is, someone who just says, well, it's my karma, what can I do? I'm miserable, everything is against me, the world is against me. No, be heroic, be strong, stand up, and learn to face life, to face the difficulties in life. As Swami Vivekananda said, face the brute. The worst that can happen to us is death. So face death. Kewal Chawla told me today that I'm not afraid of death. Whether it comes tomorrow or whether it comes 4 years from now, it doesn't matter to me. I'm ready to face death. I don't matter. I don't care. Another beautiful thing he said to me today was, I'm happy. His diaphragm is frozen, so he has trouble breathing. And so, as we all know, there's nothing that makes us so anxious as losing control of breathing. And so his diaphragm is frozen, so he can't breathe deeply. His breath is very shallow. And yet he said, I'm happy. And he meant it. In that condition, I'm happy. And I'm not afraid of death. Shobha, our wonderful devotee, who can't come at night because she can't drive at night, she was here at noontime today and yesterday. And she told me yesterday that, Swami, I'm happy. I'm happy. Not because she doesn't have any problems. She's older like many of us are, with the aches and pains of age and the health problems of age. But she said, Swami, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And Kewalji said the same thing. That shows that Vedanta works. They're happy not because everything has been given to them, not because life has come on a golden platter to them, not because they're fabulously wealthy and they have servants serving them. No, they have all kinds of problems that they have to face, but in the midst of that, I'm happy. That comes as a result of trying to lead a spiritual life. Making mistakes, yes, but getting up and trying to lead a spiritual life and not letting circumstances dictate who I am. I'm bigger than the circumstances that confront me. I'm bigger than all of the circumstances. Many of you have had to go through a terrible suffering, and yet you're here because you're bigger than the circumstances that you've had to face. You're bigger than the things that you've had to face. Yes, you've had to face terribly difficult situations, great sadness in life, and yet you're bigger than that. That's why you're still here. So let us know that we are bigger than that. And finally, let me end with this. I could say other things as things that we should all remember, but I'll end with one more. Not because it's the most important. There are others that are equally important, but because I have to end and I want to give some time for questions. That we're not responsible for the universe. We're not responsible for the universe. In the West in particular, there is a sense that I'm responsible for the universe. The universe is going to hell and I have to save it. No, you don't have to save the universe. God exists. God is there. Once Swami Ramakrishnananda, the disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he had gone to Burma, traveled to Burma to teach about Sri Ramakrishna and so forth from Chennai or Madras, where he was based at that time, the disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Ramakrishnananda. A young man came to him and said, Swamiji, this is wrong with the world and that is wrong with the world, and people are doing this and people are doing that, and our young people are acting like this, and this is going wrong, and in this part of the world that's happening, and in that part of the world that's happening. And he went on and went on and went on until he ran out of steam. And then Swami Ramakrishnananda said, what did God ever do before you were born? God is there. The nature of the world is imbalance. That's what creation is. Creation is imbalance. The world is not going to become a heaven because the world is this. The world is a place that we work our way through. Our end is not here. We're here because this is karma bhumi, the land of karma, where we work out our karma, where we learn, where we exercise through facing the problems of life, confronting the problems of life, where we gain strength, where we have the chance, if we allow it, we have the chance to gain integrity, where we have the chance to build character, where we have the chance to learn better. The world gives us that opportunity, but the world is not here for us to improve it. It's here for us to worship and to serve. That's why Swami Vivekananda always said, get this idea of helping the world out. Take this idea of helping the world out of your mind, because the world is the world. Worship the presence of God here in all beings. Serve God in all beings. Not because you're going to solve the problems of the world. No, you're not going to solve the problems of the world. But you have a chance to worship. You have a chance to serve. That's a joy. That's an opportunity. That's a privilege. That's what we're here for, not to solve the problems. There's someone in front of me who's hungry. Let me give them something to eat. That's an opportunity for me. I'm not helping the person. I'm worshiping God in that person. God has come to me in the form of a hungry person. I have a chance to worship them, and I do that by feeding them. So remember that we're not responsible for the world. The world is the world, as Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda used to say. It's like the curly tail of a dog. You unwind the tail and you let go of it, and it curls right back up. When I was a kid, my father, there was a dog that had belonged to my father before he went off to college, and it was still alive 20 years later when I was a little kid. And, well, no, it wouldn't have been 20 years, 15 years later when I was a little kid. And that dog had a curly tail, so I'm very familiar with that, because for a little kid, that was fascinating. You take the tail and stretch it out, and boy, like that. You stretch it out, and that could entertain you for hours, straightening out the tail of the dog. That's the world. That's the world. You fix something in one place, and something else breaks. You solve one problem, and another problem sprouts up, because that's the nature of the world. So don't approach the world as a problem that you are responsible for solving. The world is here to worship and to serve, that's all, and to make our way through, and to become better people by working our way through it, by the way that we work our way through it. Let me, associated with that, let me say one last thing, and that is a very difficult thing for us to learn, especially in the West somehow, but for Indians as well, for everybody in the world, but it's especially chronic in the West, to learn that nobody's looking at us. Nobody's looking at us. So let me tell an anecdote, to a true anecdote, to illustrate what I mean by that. I had a friend, a Vedanta friend, whose mother I knew also. She's long passed away, and my friend now is himself in his upper 90s. But he used to tell me about his mother that back in the 1950s, his parents got a divorce, and his mother spent 2 years hiding in the house because she was afraid of what people would think of her if she went outside. That in those days, divorce was something that rarely happened. And if you got a divorce, it was frowned on extremely, much as India was and still is in India, where divorce is highly frowned on. So this woman got a divorce, and in spite of her efforts to hold the marriage together. And she was afraid to go out of the house for 2 years because she was afraid that people were looking at her, judging her. And so her son told her, "Mom, nobody's looking at you. Everybody's afraid that you're looking at them." That's the way we go through life. Everybody thinking, everybody's looking at me. They see that I'm like this, or I'm incompetent, or I did something wrong, or I'm not as beautiful as I'd like to be, and everybody's staring at me. No, everybody's thinking, oh, everybody's looking at me. That's the way we go through life. So learn that nobody's looking at you. Nobody's paying attention. Be yourself, but be your best self, because that's who you want to be, because it's good for you, not because somebody's looking at you. So learn to be yourself. So with that, I'll close. Let me see if there are any questions about anything. Yes, Partha. Oh, yes, so it comes on the live stream.
Sure. You have said this quite a few times, that when all of us, each of us individually, walking on the road of life, our own lives, also different than each other, sometimes we fall down.
Yes.
It's kind of obvious.
Yes.
But we should not remain fallen down on the path, but we should get up.
Yes.
No argument in that, But when we fall down, we are supposed to learn from that falling down, so that the next time, at least the duration of the repetition of the falling down, at least we can prolong it.
Yeah.
Say we are falling down every day, we can make it every week. Every week we are falling down, then 1 month, like that. So that part you did not highlight, You said that you just get up. This is one comment on what you said. The other thing is, many people, when maybe I'm talking to you or you are talking to us, then say that something bad happened, bad things happen to everybody's lives and experience bad thing, and you want to forget it. But wish we could forget anything. There is not a single moment, single thing that has happened till example, had it been an electronic memory, I can actually go there, and there are some 1 billion memory storage. I can go to a particular memory with like a GPS with the coordinates, and then selectively take it out.
But okay, I've got the point. Yes, so let me answer those two things. One thing about learning from falling down. That's a very good point. Yes, that's true. We want to learn from our experiences so that we don't have to keep repeating them. But sometimes, in spite of trying to learn, we do repeat them. It's just life. But yes, we try to learn to do better and not to fall down so hard. or to get up quicker, or to, as you said, to prolong the interval before I trip again. So yes, we should learn from our experiences. That's very true. And I want to get to the other point, which is very important, about memories, that we don't really forget things that happen. That's true, but it's not. It's not the memory that's in the brain that's important. It's the active memory that works in the mind that's important. There are things that may have happened to me that I keep bringing to mind, and I keep mulling over them, and why did this happen, or oh, I'm so sad about this, and I worry about this, or why me, or whatever. That doesn't do any good. That's the problem. It's not that there's not a trace in the memory, yes, but the memory is not ever a problem. And let me explain it this way, because the question is very good and it's important, so I want to answer it properly. It's said that a realized soul, that all of their samskaras are destroyed, that the realized soul, their mental impressions, their mental tendencies, their vasanas are all destroyed in the moment of illumination. Yes, but that doesn't mean they're memories. In a samskara, there are two parts to a samskara. There's the memory of the information, and there's the emotion connected to it. The memory remains in an illumined soul. So you could ask Ramakrishna, who was going into ecstasy every day multiple times, and who had spent 6 months immersed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. You could ask him, where were you born, sir? And he would say, Kamarpukur. And he would say, how do you get to Kamarpukur? Oh, you go this way, this way, this way. What was your mother's name? Oh, she was Chandra Devi, and so forth. All of the memory was there, but the emotions are burnt out. The emotional content is burnt out. The emotional content is what is important in memories, because that's what causes us problems. The fact that I remember it with regret, I remember it with longing to repeat the same thing that I know better than to repeat it, but it gave me pleasure and I want to do it again, in spite of the fact that I know, no, I need to give that up because it's not doing me any good. So it's those drives and emotions that are connected to memories that are the problem, not the memory. The memories will be there even after illumination. The pictures of what happened when and where, but all of the attachments and the emotional content and drives are destroyed. And so what we can do now is not to mull over them, because when I mull over them, I'm intensifying the emotional content. The memory is going to be there, but I don't want to intensify the emotional content, reliving the experience and all of that. No, I want to learn to let go of it. That's what in the Yoga Sutras is called bringing the samskaras to the tanu state. Tanu, the Sanskrit word tanu, which means the subtle state. If you don't indulge your troublesome memories, then they're reduced to a subtle state. They're still there, but they don't have the ability to control your behavior. They've lost their power over you. So that's the important thing. Yes. Oh, I saw Shubhadeep first. So okay, let me say, because time is up. So all questions have to be very short, one or two sentences.
Very short. Yeah.
One or two sentences.
Yeah. There are three variables here. Number one is attachment, role, responsibility, accountability. How they're interrelated.
Now,
and how they're interrelated.
How to interpret what?
Interrelated. Role, responsibility, and attachment, and the obligation. These are the four major factors. Okay. How they're interrelated, so that I can still be attached in a good way, but we should have the sense of detachment.
Yes, no, that's a good question, a very good question. Swami Vivekananda said that we have to learn not only the power of detachment, we also have to learn the power of attachment. He said both are equally important. He said the wall is perfectly detached. If all of us die right now, the wall doesn't care. The wall is perfectly detached, but we don't want to be a wall. We don't want to be a stone. The stone is perfectly detached. You can even throw the stone against a wall, and neither the wall cares nor the stone cares. That's the detachment of a stone. We don't want that. We want the ability to to attach the mind to something when we need to, and then to pull it away when it's time to pull it away. He said that the power of being attached is human. Being detached like the wall is inanimate matter. Being attached to things is human, but he said it's super divine power to have the power of attachment and detachment at the same time. That is, if there's something I need to do, say if I have a family that I'm responsible for, then detachment does not mean, oh, who cares if the children are hungry? That's not my problem. I'm trying to realize God. Who cares if the children are hungry? Let them be hungry. Let them find something to eat for themselves. That's not my problem. No, that's not detachment. The children, my wife or my husband, people I'm responsible for, part of my spiritual life has to be taking care of them. I have to know that this is my responsibility and it's a sacred responsibility. So how to know if it's a real responsibility or if it's a false responsibility? That is, we take on many things in life because I want to feel important. And I think that this is my responsibility just because I want to feel important. And so I take it as a responsibility. I don't need to do it, but I take it on because I want people to think I'm important. So a real responsibility is something that if you don't live up to it, you become a worse person. You become a worse person by not fulfilling that responsibility. So if you abandon your children who are hungry because, I'm going to be detached, I'm going to go and live in a cave and meditate, you become a worse person. And you know that you're becoming a worse person because you've left your responsibility, the children that are dependent upon you. However, children, when they're grown, sometimes we inject ourselves into their lives in ways that they don't even want. And so again, I want to still have that responsibility as I had when they were little, but actually I'm just interfering in their lives, and I'm assuming that that's my responsibility, but they don't even want it. They may love me as their father, and they may care for me, but they say, Dad, you're interfering in our life. You're getting in the way. You're interrupting my marriage and my training of my kids and everything. So a responsibility is that which, unless I live up to it, I become a worse person. So it's important for all of us to know what is a real responsibility and what is just something that I've assumed because I want to be important. And attachment means if it's a responsibility, if it's something I need to do, whether it's work, yes, if I have a job, I'm responsible for that job. I have to do it well. So I attach my mind to it to do it well. But when I go home at the end of the day, and I find myself thinking about all of the things at work that I'm not still working on it, I'm just worrying about it. No, then I need to learn how to detach myself from it. Okay, when I go home, I close the office is there, and I'm here. I'm not at the office, and so I keep the office out of my head. That's learning how to be detached. And so learning detachment and attachment is a great art in spiritual life that we have to do. So now one last question, Shubhadeep.
Maharaj, namaskar. I have a question on the first thing, like God is. At first, that may sound like very abstract idea for somebody new to probably and not everyone has a strong devotion, So is that like God is better to understand and keep it as an understanding in your mind and then keep on practicing? Is that the best way to comprehend the God is?
Yes.
It's a huge
Yeah, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. So let me just say that in a talk like this to our devotees, I may say something like that God is, and I don't have to justify it. I don't have to explain that, well, God is because of this, and because God exists because of this, that, and the other thing, and you can believe in God because of this. So a statement like that may not apply, even in a group like this, it may not apply to everyone, but it applies to a large number of the people who already are convinced that God is. And so, but it's true that for many people, and I face this all of the time in France, because more than in America, in France there's a very strong tradition of rationalism and anti-religion, religious thought. Many people are Catholic. There's some Protestants, and many people who come to our center are practicing Catholics who love Vedanta. Many are practicing Protestants who love Vedanta and come to Vedanta also. But there are many people who are against religion, but they come to us because they don't have to, they can follow Vedanta without the idea of God. And so if one has a problem with the idea of God, then one can approach it from the standpoint of, what is reality? Who am I? I know that I exist. Let me find out who I am. That's a legitimate path in Vedanta. Or what is this universe? That's a legitimate path in Vedanta. You don't have to talk about God. What is existence? What is the nature of existence? What is the nature of reality? What is the nature of truth? You can talk in impersonal terms. So for someone who has trouble with the idea of God, there are other ways of approaching the spiritual life. There are many people today, in America also, but especially in Europe, where religion is much more degraded than in America. In America, religion is still fairly strong. In Europe, it's much weaker. There are many people who feel that there must be something spiritual. They have a spiritual hunger, but they can't deal with the idea of God. And so in Vedanta, you don't need to if you don't want to. But for most people who have been in Vedanta for some time, God becomes a reality. There's no longer that resistance to the idea of God. And through Vedanta, one understands that when I speak of God, I'm not speaking about an old man living up in the clouds who is sending down thunderbolts to punish people that he doesn't like, and giving mansions and expensive cars to people he does like, and things like that. No, God is the loving heart of the universe, the loving heart of reality itself, with whom we can have the most intimate of. In fact, Swami Vivekananda said, O divine Lord, I would have no other name for thee than I, the personal pronoun I. I would have no other name for thee than I, because any other name separates you from me. You so that I don't want there to. So my only name, my name for thee, O my beloved, is I. I was speaking about God as the only reality. I was speaking for those who have been around Vedanta long enough, so it's no longer a question. But for many people, it is a question. And there are people in our center in Gretz who have been around for decades who still can't accept the idea of God, but they love Vedanta because of they found their way through the impersonal path, and that's fine. So with that, I will end. Let me end on the note of saying that this center, many people have given their lives, their energy, their wealth to the building up of this center. This center is something very sacred. Its life is sacred. The shrine is sacred. The hearts of many people are enshrined in this very place. Many people have sacrificed so much to build this place, to make it a holy place, to make it a spiritual place. Don't let that be lost. If we let that be lost, it's our fault. And we are hurting the sacrifices, we're belying and betraying the sacrifices of many people who have put their hearts and souls into building this place up. It's a place which has brought solace to many people, it's brought spiritual help to many people, and it will into the future. This place has a future. It's not dead. It's not past. Yes, as I said yesterday, individuals have karma, but groups also have karma. Groups, collectives have karma, nations have karma, cities have karma, states have karma, and centers like this anywhere where there's an organized collection of human consciousness, which is what we are as a center. There is the group karma as well as the individual karma, and so don't be disheartened by problems that come along the way. Just as I, as an individual, have to face my karma, I have to face the things that come to me, knowing that something in my past has brought this. Now all I have to do is to find out how to face it, how to confront the circumstance that has come to me. What is the way to confront it? What is the way not to be destroyed by it, but to be improved by facing it? And so with our collective karma as well, how can we face together the difficulties that come to a center, and how can we continue the life of the center for the good of many, for the benefit of many? It may be that we are a very small center now. We are a very small center. But all of our centers around the world started as small centers, a few people who gathered together and began to build it. One of the differences between the work of the Ramakrishna order, the centers of the Ramakrishna order, and many other spiritual groups, including spiritual groups from India, other groups from India, is that our growth has been very slow. We've been in this country for 130 years since Swami Vivekananda came in 1893. There are other groups that came just in the 1970s and had a huge splash, rapid, explosive growth. That's not the way that Sri Ramakrishna has developed his centers. He's developed them slowly, but he's put them on a solid foundation of dedicated lives, people who have dedicated their lives to developing the center and to facing all the problems that come. And so I appeal to all of you, don't despair of the center when problems come. Come to the center, help the center grow, and do what you can to help the center during its difficulties, because in the long run it will be to your benefit. It will be to your benefit. Anything that you do for a center like this is for your benefit. You will be helped by it because it's direct service to the living Sri Ramakrishna, direct service to the living Holy Mother, direct service to the living Vivekananda. Anything that you do, whether it's just coming occasionally to attend a lecture, that's enough. If that's what you can do, then do that. That's good. By coming once in a while, you are participating. You're giving reason for the center's existence. And if you can do other things, well and good. But think in terms of helping the center, pushing it forward, not allowing it to die. It won't die, because Sri Ramakrishna is the life at the heart of it, and he's immortal, and his work is also. It won't die. But don't let it suffer unnecessarily because we've allowed it to suffer because we ignored it. No. Anything done for the center is done for Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and Swami Vivekananda. So make your life blessed by doing something for them. So, again, I'm so happy to see all of you, so happy to see so many familiar faces, and a sprinkling of new faces, which I'm delighted to see also. But delighted to be here, which is my own home. Houston and the Houston Center are my own home. So let me give a closing chant. Om Dio Shantihi Antariksham Shantihi Prithvi Shantihi Apa Shantihi Oshadhaya Shantihi Vanaspataya Shantihi Vishwe Deva Shantihi Brahma Shantihi Sarvam Shantihi Shantireva Shantihi Sama Shantiredhi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace is in the heavens, peace is in the sky, peace is on earth. Peace is in the waters, peace in the plants and the trees. The gods are peace. Peace is the nature of truth. Peace, peace alone, peace. May that peace, real peace, be with us all. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all the beings of the universe.